Gang, gang, hey, nothing but love and respect. You might have some cool fans, but mine are the best. We've been through it all, went to war when duty called. Never left a man behind, we move as one is super strong. I don't want followers, that implies I'm the leader. I'm not the captain, I just gave them something they can believe in. I hold the lamp in the darkness, but they're the light that I needed to see the road that we walk in between the angels and demons. And my fans have my back. Hate us if your feelings don't like facts. And my fans will fight back. Beat you with the keyboard you've been using to write back. I guess we need each other like both sides of the battery. We the army, we the homies, we the gang, we the cavalry. We're brothers and sisters, we hold it down like we gravity. Can't nobody break the bond that made us all family.
Me and my fans, we don't care what anybody say. Middle fingers to whoever in the way, man. Me and my fans, we gon' be together to the grave. It's a game till forever and a day, man. Me and my fans, we don't even trip in the hate. We got I don't give a fuck in our veins, man. Me and my fans,
We the hangover gang. Gang, 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 gang.
Oklahoma weather can dish out some of the worst punishment in the world. Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Tuttle. But now you can fight back by installing Class 4 impact-resistant shingles from Ferguson Roof Systems. These shingles can withstand large hail, heavy rain, and hurricane-force winds, all while keeping your home safe and dry. And the best part? This upgrade is completely free for many homeowners. So call today to start reaping the benefits these Class 4 shingles bring, including a discount on home insurance. Only at FergusonRoofSystems.com. Hey everyone, meteorologist Tuttle back with you again. It is just a little after 9:30 here on your Tuesday evening, so thanks for joining me. You've come to the right place here at AT's Weather. We're going to tell you all the ins and outs and all the science behind what's going to happen here for the next couple of days. We've got a pretty decent winter storm coming, but it's also going to bring some severe weather. So if you're kind of late to the party, didn't really know what was going on, well, that's the short version. I'm going to give you the long version here a little bit. And I got a lot to talk about, so I'm going to cram a lot down your throat like I did last night and like I did today at lunch. So thanks for joining me. If you're having trouble getting notifications on Facebook, hit this little link that I just now posted, and you will get a direct notice from me through your instant messenger. The rest of you guys are notified pretty good on Twitter and YouTube. Those algorithms seem to play nicely, but Facebook is a punk, so it doesn't always play nice. All right, with all that said and done, let's go on to, let's see, the next thing I want to show you. Let me get my deal queued up here because it's going to be a lot here. All right, first things first. We have a little cloudiness that has worked in today. You may have noticed some high-level clouds that have moved on through. And temperatures as a result, a little bit more on the mild side. We're still at 61 degrees here on my Tempest weather station in my backyard. If you'd like to pick up a Tempest, you can always tap the QR code right here on your screen with your phone. You can also head to my website, AaronTuttleWeather.com, and pick one up at a discount. But otherwise, good Christmas gift. A lot of you guys did that, and I'm hoping you're enjoying it. Now, the weather. Well, today, so nice. 60s again, some 70s out there. So we'll probably repeat this again tomorrow. Although the winds have been quite strong today. We saw some winds gusting in excess of 30 miles per hour today. And that'll be the case we head into tomorrow. And that's going to help to, well, of course, it did help to increase the fire danger today, which still be around a little bit tomorrow, but the humidity will start to creep in. But it'll also set the stage for this large area of a severe weather risk across Oklahoma and North Texas from the Storm Prediction Center. And if you look at the tornado aspect of it, yes, they do draw a brown ring down here from Oklahoma City to Tulsa, down south to Dallas-Fort Worth, into northwestern Texas. So we are expecting a little bit of the rough stuff as we head into the next 24 to 36 hours. So here's a look at the close-up view of that from the National Weather Service, which does paint a good chunk of Oklahoma in the slight risk. You might as well include these far western counties while we're at it on the way down here. Otherwise, the most I've seen the data, wind speeds up around 60 miles per hour. I haven't seen anything higher than that yet. Hail probably right around 1 inch in diameter, although it could be up to golf balls in some cases. The tornado potential is low, but it's not very low, which is interesting, right? So that's something to take note of. When you do look at the tornado potential, again, it kind of just comes into the Oklahoma City metro area, but otherwise a little bit of higher probability from around Lawton to Wichita Falls to Ada, Ardmore, and Durant. And then overnight into eastern Oklahoma by daybreak hours, a slight risk there as well for more of the same. Some Small to medium sized hail, winds up to 60, and a low tornado threat. If we look at the analog data, which compares similar setups, remember not every two systems are exactly alike, but there's some similarities that we can look at, and it does show in past we do expect this cluster of severe weather reports. This is what this is. So severe weather reports anchored here across the state, and that's for at least one severe weather report. We're going to go to report at least 5, and that could be for large hail, damaging winds, or a tornado. You can see even 5 reports showing up at least a 30 to 45% probability. That's pretty decent. When you look at the tornado reports in this for potential, it kind of anchors it down here along the Red River into southern Oklahoma. For just one report, if you go to 5 reports, there's nothing in historic analogs that has ever come close to that. So let's hope that's the case here with this one. But same idea, the stuff will start out here in the Texas Panhandle and northwestern Texas. So that is where the severe weather risk will start as we head into tomorrow late afternoon into the early evening hours. And that is because the upper level storm systems we're looking at right here in the jet stream pattern moves into southwest Mexico by, let's see here, wait a minute, this isn't what I wanted. Is this what I wanted? Yes, it is what I wanted. Oh, I'm looking at 700, that's why. I'm like, oh, you know what? Yeah, let's do this. I'm going to change it back over to 500. I was looking at some other lifting indices. We'll get to that in a second when it comes to the snow. All right, so here's a look at the 500 millibar level. All right, so it has the center of the upper level low out here in southwestern parts of New Mexico, and it's all this energy, all these colors you see on the map that represents mid-level energy that's going to be ejecting here into Texas and Oklahoma overnight. So the problem, if you love severe weather and you want tornadoes, your problem is that this system too far west, too little, too late. It's not coming in to say this position right here in the middle of the afternoon. That would be where we would light up like a Christmas tree. So thank goodness this system is about 12 hours too slow to its own party, and that really helps to limit what we could have seen in the severe weather aspect of things. So here's a look at the 700 millibar levels. This is where things really get kicked off. So you see the colors represent lift in the atmosphere. Really, you can start to get that precipitation going. So at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, you see it lights up here across western Texas and into the panels. That's where most of your lift is going to happen. That's where your showers and storms will develop. And it gets cranking here around the late evening hours. And then you can see as at midnight, it starts to work its way through Oklahoma. So that's the western half of Oklahoma. So that's where we're going to get gangbusters here for some thunderstorms. And as we head into the overnight period on into the morning, we still have a lot of lift, especially moving into eastern Oklahoma, wrap around up here in the northern parts of the state, and then moving on into Kansas pretty quickly, which means that really shuts down a lot of the heavy and significant precipitation. But you're going, wait a minute, what about the snow? Just hold on just 2 seconds, I'll get to that. Meanwhile, the moisture that we need to work with, pretty anemic right now. We struggled to get into the 40s today for dew point values, still a nice day. But you can see that darker green coming on in as we head into Wednesday afternoon and evening. So that is the rich, moist Gulf air trying to make a run for the border at the last second here into our Wednesday afternoon. It does infiltrate Texas quite a bit. It does come across Red River in the evening hours. You can see how it's moving into the panhandle of Texas by the midnight hour. Right here when the juicy stuff starts to get going, we got dew point values in the mid to upper 50s, low 60s down on the Red River, and that'll be the case for the overnight period. So that is one of the reasons why storms kind of in this region should be a little bit more severe overall than storms, say, north or west of that feature. So that's why we're kind of favoring southern Oklahoma. Then, of course, we dry things out pretty quickly as the storm exits for Thursday. Okay, so let's take a look at the instability associated with this. The colors on the map, as it gets a little darker, shows more instability working in, where you get some of those little lighter, kind of a tint of blue. That's where you got some decent Cape values that come in. And we're talking at the very last minute. Here's 11 o'clock in the evening, for example. And then there's like the midnight hour finally getting some decent Cape values. If you just a random plot down here for southwest Oklahoma, you do have some very decent shear. All right, the shear profile is very good. Classic supercell type structure, possible hazard type of a tornado. So we are expecting, unfortunately, to see at least a couple of tornadoes with this event, and this will be late. So if you notice, I just plotted that around the midnight hour, and that would continue across south central, maybe even parts of central Oklahoma. And then there's daybreak hour. You can see this kind of dies out here in southeast Oklahoma. So things do diminish late overnight. And all I can tell you is it's a good thing this didn't come in any earlier. When we look at the photograph forecast, which is pretty cool little new graphic here, to kind of track where the severe weather risk will be. These photographs, you can tell, are all the way down into north and west Texas. What this is favorable shear, and the length is also favorable for storm intensity, for updrafts, for maybe producing some hail, that kind of deal. So we can look at these, kind of track those type of parameters and how they can be kind of favored, a prettier looking photograph down along the Red River counties versus some of the other areas, which indicates a better probability of a tornado. So when you look at that and you factor in some of these ingredients, the tornado, best significant tornado parameter, where you see the colors a little bit brighter, is down here into western Oklahoma around the 9 p.m. hour. So again, in the middle of the evening, you can see how those colors get a little brighter down there across southern Oklahoma, and say near the Lawton area, as we head into the midnight hour here in south central Oklahoma. And yes, Oklahoma City is kind of lighting up a little bit here. Now this is where things are the most favorable. It doesn't guarantee you're going to have a tornado here, but these will be the best conditions for it to work with. As we head into the early morning hours, it really dies down, dwindles as we talked about, and moves east into Arkansas from that point forward. So this is kind of how these severe weather parameters are playing out with this event. Now let's take a look at your timeline here. So this is Wednesday. This is 8 p.m. I'm going to start you there. So there will be some morning showers, eastern, southeastern Oklahoma in the afternoon. No big deal with those. We're going to focus down here to our south and west. And you can see these things kind of blow up pretty quickly here around Childress to Elk City by 11 o'clock. So it's a late show, but that's where the showers and thunderstorms are going to be. As we develop into the midnight hour, into 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, some intense thunderstorms, some very heavy rainfall across northern parts of the state, behind a developing cold front moving on in, and then down south all the way into North Texas to Dallas-Fort Worth. Pretty much is where the tail end of these showers and storms will be. Here's 3 o'clock in the morning rolling on through the I-35 corridor. So we talked about pockets of wind and some hail, and yes, potential for a tornado or two. And then this activity, the heavy stuff, will move through Tulsa by 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's out of there, and then things kind of weaken. You do see some wraparound stuff right here. Well, that leads us into our next discussion point, which would be the snow. Rainfall totals, by the way, still look pretty good in the model data. They've kind of shifted some of the heavier amounts around an inch or more across northern parts of the state. And then now some of this will also be some of the snow that is expected within this. This will be kind of a mixture of rain, what would be melting snow. Otherwise, about an inch of liquid equivalent here in central Oklahoma, all the way down south to southwest Oklahoma, even up toward Tulsa. Southeast Oklahoma, because those parameters do weaken overnight, not showing as much rain at this point in time. So in other words, those storms will weaken quite a bit to where you just don't get as much beneficial rain out of them. Pardon me while I scratch my nose. Okay. Let's go to the, the track of the upper level. All right, so now we're on the winter weather aspect. That was the severe weather aspect. So there's a lot to talk about. So now you know what's coming, when it's coming, and all that kind of stuff, right? What to prepare for. Now for the snow and any ice we may get with that. All right, so the model for the time frame from Thursday morning has the upper level low working its way now through northwest Oklahoma, and then that'll be tracking its way kind of through Wichita and then southeastern Kansas. What that does mean that it does not move over central Oklahoma. So we do not get heavy snow here in Oklahoma City as a result of that. All the heavy snow will be along the line of the track of this upper level low in northwest Oklahoma and the northern counties. Now we are going to see some, and I'll show you about how much we should see here in a minute, but needless to say, there is some wraparound energy underneath this, so we will be getting some squeezed out here. And there's some really good lift within this storm. So I do expect some pockets of some really heavy snow across northern Oklahoma. Now, you've heard the term dry slot. Dry slot comes in, some mid-levels of the atmosphere, where dry air comes in, just punches in from the south and west. So this is an example of that, where we have dry air just punching in. This is at Thursday morning at 6 a.m., all right? So what is that? Well, if you look at the cursor here, that's a relative humidity of 1%, 0%. You can't get any drier than that. And then, but you can see it's butted up against 92%, 85 or whatever. So this is the dry cell that's trying to come in. Now this is the NAM model, and this is the Canadian model. Now they're completely different as to how much of that dry air comes in to central Oklahoma and shuts off the potential for snow. So the NAM is an outlier, believe it or not, with this extremely dry look. So I'm going to discount it, all right, which means it didn't go for any snow at all. So I'm throwing that away. And I'm going to go with the blend of the others, which keeps them still a little bit more moisture to allow us to at least get some snow. All right, so that's how I'm looking at this right now. We'll see what tomorrow looks like in the data, but that's what I'm going to go with on the forecast side of things. Okay, so we look at the timeline for this, like we talked about here in western Oklahoma. We got the rain, the storms. But look at that purple. That's sleet developing from Kansas to northern to western Oklahoma by 4 o'clock in the morning through Enid to Elk City. Some heavy sleet. On the backside of that is the snow. That's in all blue. As we head into the 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, that little round starts to move out of the central Oklahoma area. Still going strong though in Kansas, and still some good snows out here in the Panhandle. As we head into the 7 to 8 o'clock hour, you can see how we get a kind of a wraparound secondary effect that moves through. So this is where Oklahoma City would pick up its snowfall if it's going to be significant at all. This is the time to do so in the mid to late morning hours, because at lunchtime it's gone. It's already moving into northern and eastern Oklahoma at that point in time, and the system is pretty much out of the state by early Thursday afternoon. So it's a very short window for us to accumulate any precipitation. When we do look at anything like ice, freezing rain kind of a deal, there is a light glazing expected here across southern Kansas, southeastern Kansas, and in the far northern, northwestern Oklahoma. Just some isolated spots here through the 8 o'clock in the morning hour. So that just almost comes in Oklahoma City, kind of just back out to the north and west. So just keep that in mind. Bridges and overpasses may be a little slippery if you're going to be out and about in that part of the state. And if you look at the snowfall totals within the high resolution model, this is probably the most gung-ho that I can find you for Oklahoma City, which should tell you something. All right, so it's got 2 inches here in Oklahoma City, a little heavier north and west. And the take home really with this, because I don't think this will verify to this extent, the take home is going to be, again, the heavier snows in the northern and northwestern counties. I don't think you'll see 9, but you could probably see 6, kind of a deal. So I'm going to shave a few inches off of this. And then here along the I-44 corridor, it's going to vary anywhere from a dusting to about an inch of snow. You know, if we get 2 inches in Oklahoma City at this point, so be it. I don't see that coming, because here's a look at the vertical profile of that. And I've showed you this before. Everything here is a snow growth layer that I've got here bounded. This is around 15,000 feet. Okay, so we need the moisture in there. All right, well, that's what this green stuff is here. That's some moisture there. That's good. And the red is the lift in the atmosphere that squeezes out that moisture. So the time is going from right to left. So this is Wednesday night right here, okay? This is Thursday morning, TM, Thursday morning, 6 a.m. If you notice, remember that dry slot I talked about in the mid-levels? This model has it. So in other words, there's no moisture here to get the snow growth layer going. That means all the snow we have to produce is down here at the bottom, where you actually have a lot of negative lift association with that, and you're just squeezing out cold air, moisture in the cold air. That's how this snow is being generated. And this model gets a little excited, and that's why it produces the 2 inches, which is why I kind of have a hard time buying it. An inch maybe I see, half an inch for sure. So, but this is the setup here as to why things kind of look the way they look here in Oklahoma City on the technical side of things. Okay, so now let's go to a more very conservative, super conservative, probably underdoing it, but you can see where the majority of the snow is going to be in Kansas and northwest Oklahoma. It does have pockets of 3 to 4 inches. Again, I like the blend of this one and the other one. I think this one's a little too conservative. The European is still going for broke, though, here in Oklahoma City, so it still has an average amount of about 0.6 inches of snow. So again, that's about a half an inch of snow pretty much on every single run of the model. It does have snow here. And if you're not done with snow, don't worry, because we've got another potential round on here on the 24th. You can see all the models starting to show, the ensemble starting to show some snow here, and a peppering of some more snow signals here and here by the time we head to March 1st. So woohoo! Listen, I'm a snow lover, so I'm going to root for it. We'll talk about all that stuff later, though. All right, for your winter storm impacts, which of course is indicating for blowing snow, reduced visibility, heavy snow at that, accumulating snow, that's going to be across most of Kansas here in the south and east, up to Missouri, and then the northern counties of Oklahoma is included in that for your travel trouble spots. And yes, you will have some issues there. Now, temperatures will be still pretty decent tomorrow, 60s and 70s. You can kind of tell where the cold air is starting to slide in right here. This is the beginning stage of the cold front. It's the leading edge. It's going to be slow go, so it's not going to come barreling through here. But you will notice it as we head a little bit more in time. So here's 2 o'clock in the morning Wednesday night. So it's passing through Oklahoma City, along with those heavy showers and storms. 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and 8 a.m. we fall below freezing into the 20s here in Oklahoma City. and that's where we have that snow starting to move through. But temperatures actually into the 20s itself up north and west. It does cool down to Tulsa, of course, below freezing. So this cold air really infiltrates the state pretty good for Thursday. The good news is it's a short-lived system. Thursday afternoon, we're kind of hold into the 20s, exception of maybe western Oklahoma. Now, it is going to be windy, and I'm just going to play this through just to show you it's not going to stop. These are wind gusts at any point in time over the hour. Watch how they're in the 30s, 40s. Doesn't matter what time of the day I pick, it's just going to be windy for the next 48 hours. All right, so you can see a lull in the wind up here in northwest Oklahoma. That's behind the leading edge of that front. It's going to take a secondary push to get going. Otherwise, we still got those winds cranking here. Here we go. Here's Thursday in the morning hours. Here's Thursday during the afternoon. Wind gusting up to around 40 to maybe even 50 miles per hour. That's ridiculous. So what will that do to the wind chill? Well, you can imagine. Make it pretty unbearable. We'll put this into motion for you as well. Watch how those wind chill values drop off into the single digits on Thursday morning. And they do rebound a little bit for the afternoon into the teens. And that's about it. Temperature-wise, it'll be cold on Thursday, like we just talked about, pretty brutal. Friday morning also brutal, but we should see a decent rebound. The 51's questionable, at least the upper 40s for sure. And then on Saturday, a really good looking quick rebound for the weekend on into Monday of next week. And as I've talked about the last couple of days, these numbers here continue to get adjusted because we have that secondary potential winter storm to move in. We'll have to analyze that when we have a little bit more time. But those temperatures have a potential to be a little bit colder than this with that snow that we talked about. Whew. Everybody get all that? Let's say, all right, if you're late, you're like, okay, man, just give me a 30-second recap. All right, here's your 30-second recap. We have storms that come in tomorrow evening, late in western Oklahoma, probably after about 8 or 9 o'clock. They move east overnight. Some of these will have a little bit of hail, a little bit of wind. Yes, probably a couple of tornadoes. Favorite area right now is in southern or south central Oklahoma. Can't rule it out here in Oklahoma City, but the odds are pretty low. However, it's that environment. Those who move east overnight, cold air moves in by daybreak. We will see a little bit of sleet mixture within that frontal boundary across parts of northwest, northern, western Oklahoma as that front moves through on Thursday morning. Quickly changes over to snow, so it's not a big ice storm, it's just a little glazing. So if you're traveling around up there, bridges and overpasses, southern Kansas, northern Oklahoma, be careful. The snow then moves through during really the first part of Thursday because by 3 o'clock it's out of the state. Snowfall amounts are always problematic. Here in the metro, in Tulsa, half inch is probably the best guarantee. If we get lucky, especially north and west side of town, about an inch. So one model likes 2, but I'm going to discount it. The rest of them, they like the half inch to an inch around. And then maybe as much as 6 inches up across northern Oklahoma, some of those counties with some really good heavy lift at times. So blowing snow, maybe be blizzard conditions are pretty close to it. So you don't want to travel on Thursday up around there. It's going to be pretty bad. And with the blowing snow, it may even be hard to measure it anyway here in Oklahoma City like last time. The last time, at least we had, 7 inches of snow blowing around. So when it blew into a 15-inch drift, at least you still had 7 to measure. If you take half an inch of snow and you blow it around, you're going to be out there with a yardstick on dry grass with that piled up along the fence is how I kind of vision that. So I don't know. We'll see how Thursday morning goes. So don't cancel your plans here in Oklahoma City or south of Oklahoma City, pretty much along I-44 south. Don't cancel your plans. Don't freak out. Don't hit the grocery stores. Save a little for later. But if you live north of that I-44 corridor, especially the more north you go, spit that out, that's where you start to run into problems. All right. So that is everything in a nutshell. I will tell you this because I get this asked a lot. So let me just pull this up now. That way we're all on the same page. Some of you may not know this and or have not seen it. So this is my website, AaronTuttleWeather.com. If you go to the Weather Data tab and you scroll down, you will see multi-state road conditions. So if you click on multi-state road conditions, you will see Oklahoma City snow route if we were to need it. But you will see Oklahoma road conditions, and it will have cameras that come up that you can click on to find out if what the actual looks like from a vehicle standpoint, and the roads will be colored to let you know if they're closed, open, slow, kind of a deal. Same thing with the moving camera network. With video cameras, you can click on this map and get the same. You can expand that map out to the state. If you're in Kansas road conditions are on here. Same idea. Click on the cameras. It'll show you what it looks like for traveling. That way you get a good idea. Same thing here for Texas road conditions as well, although don't expect really any problems there. Maybe in the Panhandle. And then finally, Arkansas. There's a link to Arkansas road conditions too, but I don't expect much there, as a system for the cold stuff is mainly to your north and west. But I want to bring that to your attention. I do get asked a lot during these winter storms as to how do the roads look at my house, and that's really the best way to do it. You don't have to turn on the news and wait half an hour for some idiot to stand on a street corner freezing their butt off to tell you, yep, it's snowing, it's a little slick out here. You don't have to do that. You can just look at a camera yourself and make your decision in 30 seconds. So if time is important to you like it is to me, I would do that. I never understood that whole standing on a street corner deal. It's brutal. I did it. I had to do it. It was terrible. It's cold. It's windy. You want to see me suffering for half an hour in a live shot? No way, man. So anyway, that's the latest with that. Okay. By the way, tonight, thank you for the stars. I see you on Facebook. A lot of you threw out some stars for me tonight, and we're not talking Chinese stars. We're talking Facebook stars. A little different. Although I did have some Chinese stars when I was a wee young lad. And we would play Ninja Warriors with my buddies, and we would have the nunchucks and everything, because we were just boys, and boys would be boys. At least back then. I can't say much today's generation. Back then, you had to have a very vivid imagination. Now you get to play the video games that are so real it'll freak out your brain. So it's a whole different world out there now. But let's see, what else? I'm going to go look at your comments here real quick. By the way, you guys on YouTube, thanks for checking in. And as always, conversing with Mrs. Tuttle. She's on the horn there, making sure everybody's taken care of. If you ever have any problems or you have any questions, just shoot them to her. She is a backyard meteorologist. And not because I ordained her, but because she got ordained herself on her own will, unbeknownst to me. And then she surprised me with it. So she took some, you can take some classes. I think it was at MIT. Or was it, it's one of those schools up there in the Northeast that offered online just for fun. So, pretty neat. All right, so let's see. I'm going to go to Facebook here real quick. What is it? Oh, Harvard. Of course. Only the best for my girl, Harvard. I didn't even go to Harvard. Should make my degree look bad. All right, let's see. What else we got? Super quick, down and dirty, 30-second recap. Katina, oh my gosh, you totally just missed it. I gave you the whole recap. You were way too late, my friend. Sorry. But you can hit the replay because we're going to end this here in just a second. Jamie wants to know, are we going to have a more active spring than the last couple of years? You know, it's been really weird around here. For tornadoes, believe it or not, you know, if you ask a storm chaser, they're going to say lane, right? Obviously, if you ask anybody that's got hit or bothered by a tornado, they're not going to say the word lane. But what we've had is not the standard traditional tornadoes the last couple of years. We've had these nighttime QLCS ones that surprise you at 1 o'clock in the morning. That's lame. Nobody wants that business. But at least those typically are small and weak. That's and very short-lived. So that's the best news of those kind of tornadoes. But we have had those the last couple of years. But we just haven't had the afternoon, see it coming, 30 miles away kind of a deal. But every year is different, and I don't make any promises on that because long-range forecasting is about as accurate as you getting a dartboard out and throwing it and seeing what you can do. Then trust me, there's billions of dollars spent trying to find any teeny-weensy bit of skill in that noise to capitalize on it from an economic standpoint, from oil and gas to trading to just different industries, insurance, whatever. And there's guys out there that do it. They spend their life doing it. And I trust me, I watch them, I know some of them. And it's tough because it's like a needle in a haystack. And sometimes you get lucky and other times, no, well, there's next time, So if you think forecasting 7 days is hard, try 6 months out. They're just, it's really terrible. All right. Joanna's a little late. She wants to know what the road's going to be like in the Oklahoma City Metro Thursday. I think they'll be wet. Otherwise, I think they'll be okay. So don't cancel any of your doctor's appointments or anything. Hey Jay, you need a nose hair trimmer. Yeah, I do. I need to go check, see what's going on up there. I have a sensitive nose though. And what I mean by that is, like Jody, if she has one strand of hair that just kind of just does this, it's like I go nuts. It's like the whole nose just goes crazy. Just a little teeny tiny little tickle. So I don't know. I got a super sensitive nose. I probably have a problem. There's some kind of diagnosis I need to have made from a doctor. But we're just gonna skip that for now. This conversation is derailed quickly. Okay, I'm out here. What we're gonna try to do is let's see. Hold on, Scott. Any thoughts on others saying an ice storm next week? They're already talking about an ice storm. I haven't even looked at next week. Fine, let's just go look. Let's just go look at next week. I thought this week was enough. Tornadoes, snow, blowing snow, maybe blizzard condition. I thought that was enough, but it's never enough, is it? So we'll just go take a peek at the next week and see what happens. So hold on. Let's just do this together. So if those of you folks that want to go ahead. Those that want to hang in here and see what may be coming our way, we'll just do this here real quick, and then I'm going to get out. And that way, for those folks that kind of missed all this and you want to get a recap, I'll let you start over the live video. And you can look at all the goodies. And let me do this. Alright, so that little system goes on by. Here comes the next one. Well, there's a big system there. That's on the 25th. So what day is that going to be on? Friday? Friday, but the upper low right now is kind of up to the north and west versus coming down more south. So that does not appear to be a big snowmaker for us. There has to be cold air at the surface for this to happen. So let me go take a look at that. And let's see here. Let's do this. 925. And let it load up. Alright, so this little taste here of the cold air we talked about. Then it kind of gets mild. Here comes another blast that comes in here on the 22nd. And it kind of hangs down. Ooh, that's nice. Okay. Alright, so that's a good typical ice storm signal. However, let me take a few other looks here. Alright, so aloft, too cold. So we do have, this is the 0 degree line of the atmosphere going up, and the thermal profile is way cold, way left of it. For this particular time that I picked, let me go back. Does it ever look icy? It's kind of a sleet profile there. And that was on the 24th. And that's kind of a drizzle, freezing drizzle. Because there's no growth layer, so it's just all moisture just gets squeezed out. So at this point in time, because that cold air is so deep, when it comes in, it looks like there's a lot of little freezing drizzle type signatures, which is a few hundredths at most. So that's not an ice storm, that's just a nuisance. And then otherwise the profile is pretty cold after that, so maybe some flurries kind of a deal. That's just based off the European, but so there will be something coming our way. But we looked at the model earlier this evening for the ensembles to show that there was a signal there for some snow and monkey business. So there you go. That's the Euro. We can do the Canadian, and actually let me do this. Yeah, I'll just do this. Canadian, same idea, comes in just about like the Euro does. Okay. And it's not quite as cold thickness wise in all layers. we'll see what it looks like upper levels. So you want basically a southwest flow aloft with an Arctic air mass at the surface to get some kind of fun around here. And it looks like that pretty identical gesturing track with the upper low appearance to it. So remember, we're going about 240 hours out. So we're looking at a window of really about 7, 8, 9, 10 days. So there's going to be a lot of error between now and then. But since you asked the question, that is the signal for another decent winter storm. And then we'll have to see how deep that cold air is, and then what moisture is there to work with. But the upper level, look at the GFS. That's a nice little heavy snowmaker for that signal. That gets me excited. Let me see what it does with the temperatures. All right. Everything in this particular point is a little slow because I got to pull all this stuff up on the fly, cold. So you have to see it with me in real time. So let's see. Let's go to the 24th, and same idea. Nice little winter push for that time frame, and there's enough cold air around, and it's kind of hugging the 0 degree line. So a little bit more of a, not quite as cold as the Europeans. These other two models are a little bit on the milder side. And for fun, we'll just see what they drop when it comes to freezing rain accumulation. So freezing rain accumulation, as you can see, is quite heavy. Central, southern Oklahoma, and northeastern Oklahoma on the GFS. Let me see what else compare. And we'll zoom in. So if you hear people already talking about an ice storm, even though there's a lot of details to work out, like I just kind of hinted at, all they're doing is looking at this early output from the models, where they have a quarter to 3/4 of an inch of ice to an inch of ice. This is the American model here. This is the Canadian model, ice here in central Oklahoma, down south in North Texas and western Texas. And then here's the European model. Which apparently lost its mind because it has an inch to an inch and a half of solid ice in southeast Oklahoma, eastern Oklahoma, and southern Oklahoma, and still some ice here. So obviously that's a pretty nasty output from all three of these global models. But again, we're 10 days away, but we shall see. We'll look at the snowfall amount as well. Just again, this is for fun. This won't verify, so don't get too excited. We have enough time just getting what we currently had to verify in the short term. Let's see. So it's got this stuff confused with the ice, so we'll ignore that. It's got the snow out here west and northwest. Same thing with the Canadian, up to about a foot of snow in northwest Oklahoma. And the European also about a foot of snow. So that's a heck of a winter storm. So there you go. That's the end of, not this week, but the end of next week on the 24th and 25th. And if you read my blog, not this past Sunday, but the one before, I showed you how this would be a setup for us with the little disturbances, one after another, lined up in a southwest flow jet stream pattern aloft. And all you need is just the cold air to come in at the right time and sneak in for a little bit, which is what right now the models are indicating. So yeah, the 24th, 25th, maybe even the day before, so when that cold air moves in, that's going to be a mess. Ugh. That's exciting for me. So anyway, so I'm glad you asked that question because I hadn't even bothered to look at it because I'm too focused on the short term. But yeah, there you go. So hype train, will begin as soon as we get past this one. That's how the news business works. So and they may already start hyping it now. They may have already moved past this one. You never know. It's always the next one. Just remember that. It never ends. All right, so that was a complete squirrel event, but I hope that was good for you as it was for me. I'm going to get out of here again. Sorry for the delay for those that wanted to get watch the recap. I'll tell you what, since you stuck with me, here's your verbal version. If it's good enough for you, call it. If not, then watch some of the fun stuff I got on there. But real quick, storms move in western Oklahoma tomorrow evening, Wednesday evening, probably by 9 o'clock. Some of these will be severe, hail, wind. Yes, the tornado is possible, but I have a couple of those. This will be nocturnal. Can't see them nighttime through, say, about 2 o'clock in the morning is the sweet spot, and it's mostly over the southern third of the state is the best parameters for that. Can't rule out as far north, Oklahoma City. We're on the very far northern fringe of that, but odds are better down south. That moves out Thursday morning. Weekends as it does so, by the way, toward the southeast and into Arkansas. All right, then we have the snow. There'll be a little bit of a sleet, freezing rain touch mixed in the late night, early morning hours for Thursday across the northern parts of the state, Kansas. So be careful traveling in that area. The roads will be a little slippery, bridges and overpasses. And the snow will move in as well. The snow line comes right to the I-44 corridor, so from Tulsa to Oklahoma City. I can probably guarantee about a half inch of snow. Beyond that, it's going to be, if you're lucky, you might get an inch north and west side of town, kind of a deal. South and east, the dusting kind. As soon as you get too far off that I-44 boundary, you go to nothing, flurries. But then north, northwest, some blowing snow, maybe even blizzard type criteria with winds gusting up to around 40 or 50 miles an hour out there. On Thursday, it's going to be gross day. Temperatures in the 20s, near teens, with wind chill values in the single digits. So you don't want to be traveling, you want to be outdoors on Thursday afternoon if you live in northern Oklahoma and southern and eastern Kansas. Oklahoma City metro area, I think you'll still be fine as it looks right now. But that's the way it is. So that was your very short and dirty version from all the stuff we looked at here for tonight. I will do the live tomorrow around lunchtime. Yes, I will. And then I'll do it again tomorrow evening around 9:30. And if need be, I guess I'll be tracking some severe weather tomorrow evening if we're going to see some tornadoes. So when I do cover live severe weather events, I focus only on the tornado aspect of it because that is obviously the most concerning. So if it does not look like there's going to be any tornadoes, or there are not, then I probably will not be on. But that's good news. So you need to learn that in severe weather season, when I'm not on, that's good news. When I am on, that's terrible news. You don't want me on because that means I'm talking about tornadoes. But I'll do that to keep you safe. Make sure you get my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It's free. Download it, Apple, Google Play. Just type in AT's Weather or my name, Aaron Tuttle. You should be able to pull it up. And it'll let you know for any tornadoes do happen. It'll give you the alerts. And then you can also track the winter weather on it as well. All right, that is it. I'm out. You guys, be great. Appreciate the love, support, and your kindness and all that kind of stuff. And we'll talk again soon. Good night.